Welcome to Love Lies Chronicles.
I'd really appreciate your comment. It helps me understand if you enjoyed the story and how I can improve in future ones. I'm standing at the dining table in a Buckhead mansion with my fork halfway to my mouth. That's where my wife's Thanksgiving speech landed. The one where she told 18 family members she was grateful for everything except me. That was 20 minutes ago. The family laughed. Her brother slapped the table. Her sister already had her phone out recording. Her mother covered her mouth with that practiced gesture of mock shock. Her father chuckled and shook his head like he'd just heard a good joke at the country club. My wife recovered quickly. Just kidding. But seriously, I'm grateful he at least tries. More laughter, lighter this time. Permission granted. It was all in good fun. I lowered my fork. Didn't take the bite. Just sat there while dessert was served and the conversation moved on to other things. I checked my watch. 6:57, 3 minutes. At exactly 7 o'clock, I stood up. The room quieted gradually. My wife looked up from her conversation with her mother. Need something? Actually, yes, I said. I'd like to say something too. About gratitude. Her father sighed. This isn't really the time for. It'll just take a minute. My wife was half smiling now, probably thinking I was going to play along like I always did. Make some self-deprecating joke to show I could take it. That's what I'd done for 4 years. I wanted to talk about gratitude too, I said. My voice was steady, measured, because I realized recently that I have a lot to be grateful for. She was still smiling, waiting for the punchline. I'm grateful I finally woke up. I'm grateful I stopped waiting for respect I was never going to receive. The smile was fading now, and I'm especially grateful that I signed a new lease this morning. Complete silence. What lease? My wife asked. Her voice went higher than normal. I pulled the folded paper from my jacket pocket, unfolded it slowly, placed it on the table in front of her. This lease, for a 1-bedroom loft on Peachtree Street in Midtown. Move-in date is this Friday. She snatched the paper, scanned it. Her face went pale. You can't be serious. I'm completely serious. I've been planning this for 3 months. Her brother finally found his voice. Planning what exactly? Leaving. Permanently. But to understand how we got to that moment, you need to know what the previous 4 years looked like. We met 5 years ago through work connections. She was confident and successful, came from old Atlanta money. I was drawn to that certainty, that world of established comfort. Early on, she teased me in ways I thought were playful. Flirting. You're lucky you're cute, she'd say. Because you're not exactly going places. I laughed it off. Didn't want to seem sensitive. The first Thanksgiving with her family, I met them at their estate in Buckhead. 6 bedrooms, pool house, gate with an intercom. Her father had built a real estate empire. Her mother had perfected the art of Southern charm as a weapon. The older brother was competitive and constantly comparing achievements. The younger sister documented everything for social media. That first dinner seemed fine. I thought I'd made a good impression. Then I overheard her mother later. He's nice enough. Very safe. My wife laughed. That's what I like about him. No drama, no surprises. I took it as a compliment at the time. Year 2, the pattern started. My wife began making jokes about me in front of friends. My husband? He's basically a golden retriever. Sweet, but not exactly solving world hunger. At gatherings, she'd tell stories that made me look foolish. I laughed along. Didn't want to be the guy who couldn't take a joke. When I tried to talk to her about it in private, she'd flip it. You know I'm kidding, right? You're too sensitive. So I apologized. For being sensitive. That Thanksgiving, she announced to everyone. I'm grateful my husband finally learned to carve the turkey. Only took him 3 tries and 2 Band-Aids. The table erupted in laughter. Later that night, I brought it up again. She looked at me like I was crazy. Why are you making such a big deal? My family is just playful. If you can't handle a little teasing, that's a you problem. I apologized again. Year 3, things escalated. The family had a group text. They added me to it. Memes about me. Screenshots of texts I'd sent, taken completely out of context. Her brother posted a photo of me napping on their couch with the caption, "Living the dream." Literally just living. My wife tagged me, added a laughing emoji. When I asked her to tell them to stop, she said, "It's just how my family shows affection. You should be grateful they include you." That Thanksgiving, her father gave a toast about being grateful for people who contribute to the world. He looked pointedly at his son, then added, "And grateful for people who show up. That counts for something too, I suppose." He glanced at me. the brother said. Showing up is half the battle, right? The table laughed. When I tried to contribute to conversations that evening, I was interrupted or ignored. I mentioned a project at work. Her father immediately changed the subject. Later, my wife told me I was reading into things. The summer before this final Thanksgiving, something shifted in me. We were at a dinner party. My wife was holding court. My husband? He's fine. He's not going to set the world on fire, but he's consistent. Like a good lamp. Her friends laughed, but it sounded uncomfortable. One guy pulled me aside later. Hey man, is everything okay? That's when I realized. It wasn't normal. I just didn't know how to stop it. 3 months before Thanksgiving, I was lying in bed. She was asleep beside me. I stared at the ceiling and tried to remember the last time she'd said something kind about me. Or to me. Everything was either performance for other people or criticism in private. That night, the decision crystallized. I started documenting everything. Georgia is a one-party consent state, so I recorded some of our conversations. She kept insisting she complimented me all the time. The recordings proved she didn't. I reviewed our finances. Thank God we'd kept mostly separate accounts. I discovered my salary was more than enough to support myself. Hers barely covered her shopping and lifestyle maintenance, but she'd been pulling from our small joint account for her expenses. During lunch breaks, I looked at apartments. Found a loft in Midtown near Piedmont Park. Exposed brick, big windows, 1 bedroom. The complete opposite of our suburban house. The landlord was a retired guy who just needed a responsible tenant. When can you move in? He asked. I need 90 days to get my affairs in order. The place is yours whenever you're ready. I like your energy. I consulted a divorce attorney. Quietly, he explained Georgia law, how I could prepare without her knowing. You have grounds, he said. You also have independence. This will be cleaner than you think. I started separating my possessions. Nothing obvious. Just gradual. Books. College memorabilia. Family heirlooms. She never noticed. I closed the joint account. Transferred her portion to her. Changed my direct deposit. Removed my name from subscriptions. Small acts of disengagement. Each one felt like a tiny liberation. And I decided, Thanksgiving would be the moment. Not because I wanted revenge. Because I wanted witnesses. They'd humiliated me in front of each other for years. They'd have to face my departure in front of each other too. The second month, I started running again. Used to run in college. My wife noticed. Trying to get in shape? About time. I didn't respond. Just kept running. I joined a rec basketball league. Made actual friends. Guys who didn't know my wife. One asked, "Where's your wife? Doesn't she come to games?" "She's busy." "Too busy to support you?" That's rough, man. First time anyone had validated what I was feeling. At work, I threw myself into projects. A colleague noticed. "You seem different. More present." I realized I'd been half present for years. Always worried about the next criticism. I signed the lease in late October. Paid first month, last month, deposit. Scheduled the move for Friday after Thanksgiving. My wife was planning an elaborate holiday celebration. I let her plan. She wanted me at the family dinner. They expect you there. I knew why. The annual tradition of making me the joke. Meanwhile, I contacted a moving company. Arranged a storage unit. Changed my mailing address. Updated all my emergency contacts. Removed myself from her life administratively. She had no idea. The week before Thanksgiving, the family group chat was active. Planning the menu. Her sister posted, "Can't wait to see everyone. These dinners are always so memorable." Her brother, especially when she gives her speech. Classic. I muted the notifications. My wife asked, "You're being weird." "What's wrong?" "Nothing. Just busy with work." She accepted it. Didn't probe deeper. Never did. Thanksgiving morning, I went to the apartment. Signed the final paperwork. Received the keys. Stood in that empty space with afternoon light coming through the windows. Felt possibility. Then I went back home. Got ready. My wife said, "Can you at least try to look nice? My family notices these things." I wore jeans and a button-down. She sighed but didn't push it. The drive to Buckhead was silent. She scrolled her phone. I drove. 30 minutes without a single word of conversation. I wondered if she even noticed. We arrived at the estate. Her mother greeted us at the door. "Oh good, you brought him. Not glad you could both make it. Just you brought him." Her father was in his study. Barely acknowledged me. Her brother and his wife were already there. The sister-in-law gave me a sympathetic look. First genuine human moment of the evening. As extended family arrived, I introduced myself to relatives I'd never met. An uncle said, "Oh, you're her husband. I've heard about you." The tone suggested he'd heard the jokes, not the achievements. We moved to the dining room. Formal table, 18 people. My wife sat near her father. Position of honor. I was placed near the end between a cousin I'd never met and an empty chair. I asked the cousin about her work. She seemed surprised I was interested. "You're not like how she describes you." "How does she describe me?" She looked uncomfortable. "Like your background noise." "It's fine," I said. "I know." After dinner, before dessert, her father stood, tapped his glass. "Before we eat dessert, traditional moment of gratitude." He talked about success and excellence, looked at his son with pride. Then her mother gave a brief speech. Then it was my wife's turn. She stood. The room focused on her. Every year, I try to think about what I'm truly grateful for. She listed her career, her family, her health, the beautiful home. Building rhythm. The room waited. "I'm grateful for everything, really." A pause. "Everything except my husband." The table exploded with laughter. Her brother slapped the table. Her sister was already recording on her phone. Her mother covered her mouth, eyes dancing with amusement. Her father chuckled and shook his head. I sat perfectly still, fork halfway to my mouth. She waved her hand. "Just kidding, of course. But seriously, I'm grateful he at least tries." Second wave of laughter. "Lighter now. Permission granted." All a joke. She sat down, satisfied. Dessert was served. I lowered my fork. Didn't take the bite. For 20 minutes, I watched them enjoy dessert. My wife leaning toward her mother, both glancing at me and giggling. Her sister posting to Instagram. Thanksgiving roasts hit different when family serves them. I checked my watch. 6:57, 3 minutes. At 7 o'clock, I stood. That's where we came in. The moment, everything changed. After I revealed the lease, my wife stood too. "You're leaving me?" "I'm leaving all of this." I gestured around the room. The constant jokes. The public humiliation. Being treated like I'm lucky to exist in your peripheral vision. Her mother said, "That's not fair. We welcomed you into this family. You tolerated me. There's a difference." My wife's tears started. I was joking. It was obviously a joke. Was it? I pulled out my phone. Opened my notes. I've been documenting things for 3 months. October 15th, dinner party at the Hendersons. You told everyone I was basically a houseplant with a paycheck. October 22nd, your book club. You said marriage to me was like having a very expensive pet. I kept reading. Dates, quotes, instances. The family shifted uncomfortably. "I didn't mean those things seriously," she said, voice breaking. "When was the last time you said something kind about me? To me? To anyone?" Silence. Her mouth opened, closed. "I say nice things." "Name one." "From the last month. One genuinely kind thing." She couldn't. Her father stood. "This is ridiculous. Every family teases." "No. Healthy families support each other. They don't use each other as punchlines." Her mother tried. "You're being incredibly ungrateful. Do you know what this family has done for you?" "What exactly have you done for me? Besides make me feel like I should be grateful you allow me in the room?" Then my wife got angry. The tears disappeared. "Fine. You want the truth? You're boring. You've always been boring." There it was. The thing she'd been saying in different ways for 4 years. Finally said directly. "You're right," I said quietly. The room went still. "I am boring. To you. Because I'm not what you wanted me to be." I looked at each of them. But here's what I figured out over the last 3 months. I'm not boring. I'm just quiet. There's a difference. I started listing everything I'd done. The closed joint account. Removing my name from the rental house. Hiring movers for Friday morning. Changing my direct deposit, mailing address, emergency contacts. I gave you 4 years. For Thanksgivings. I stayed because I thought love was enough. But you did see me. You saw someone you could diminish to feel better about yourselves. My wife reached for me. "Please don't do this here." I stepped back. "You chose here. Every time you humiliated me, you chose an audience. I'm just returning the favor." I checked my watch. It's 7:14. I told myself I'd leave at 7:15. Her brother said, "You're actually leaving? Right now?" "Right now?" I drove separately, by the way. My car's in the guest parking. Another detail they hadn't noticed. I walked toward the door. My wife followed. "Wait, we need to talk about this." We just did. In front of everyone. Like always. Her mother called after me. You're making a huge mistake. I stopped at the doorway. Turned back. You know what's interesting? You might be right. Maybe in 6 months I'll realize I gave up something valuable. I looked at each of them. But I don't think so. Because nothing about the last 4 years felt valuable. It felt like slow suffocation. My wife was crying now. Real tears this time. Not manipulation. Realization. I really do love you, she said. Voice small, broken. I know you do. In your way. I opened the door. But your way of loving feels an awful lot like contempt. And I'm done pretending I can't tell the difference. I walked out. The door closed behind me. The first night, I drove to the apartment. Stood in the empty space. No furniture yet. Just the lease agreement and keys. I sat on the floor with my back against the wall. My phone buzzed constantly. Wife calling, texting. I didn't answer. Eventually, silence. The first real silence in 4 years. Friday, the movers came. My wife's car wasn't at the old house. She was staying with her parents. I took only my things. Books, clothes, my desk. Most of the furniture was hers anyway. The movers asked, "That's it?" "That's it. You're lucky." Clean break. Saturday, I bought a bed from IKEA. Assembled it myself. Took 3 hours. But when finished, I felt accomplishment. Sunday, I bought a couch from a local furniture store. The owner, an older woman with kind eyes, asked, "Starting over?" "How'd you know?" "You have that look. Like you're measuring everything twice." She gave me a discount. Everyone deserves a fresh start. Monday, I met with the divorce attorney. Filed papers. Georgia requires a 30-day waiting period minimum. She can contest, he said. But you have separate finances, no kids, no shared property. This will be straightforward. My wife was served papers on Tuesday. She called 47 times that day. Left 23 voicemails. I listened to none of them. Wednesday, I read her first text. "I understand you're angry, but we can work through this." I didn't respond. Thursday, "My family wants to apologize." Still didn't respond. Friday, "At least talk to me. I deserve that." I typed, "You deserve what you gave, public announcement of decision already made." Then deleted it without sending. Her family sent nothing. No calls, no texts. Complete radio silence. Week 2, her sister posted on Instagram. A photo of family dinner without my wife. Caption, "Family dinners hit different when everyone's on the same page." They'd moved on. I had been that replaceable. At work, I threw myself into projects. A colleague noticed the change. "You seem different. More present." Different how? Like you're actually here now. He was right. I'd been half present for years. I started running daily in Piedmont Park. 3.2-mile loop. The first week I struggled. Second week, easier. Third week, I actually enjoyed it. I met an older man who ran the same route. New to the area, new to the neighborhood, not to Atlanta. "Welcome anyway. You'll fit in here." I joined the rec basketball league I'd researched. Team of guys my age. We met Tuesday and Thursday evenings. Sometimes got beer after games. Normal conversations. Nobody mocking each other. Just normal friendship. A coffee shop became my routine. Octane Coffee on Marietta Street. The barista learned my order. "Americano, room for cream?" "You got it." Small thing. Felt significant. Being seen as an individual. The apartment became home slowly, deliberately. I bought plants and had to learn about watering schedules. Turns out succulents need very little water. Who knew? I hung artwork from local artists at Ponce City Market. Each piece I chose because I liked it, not because it matched some decorator's vision. I organized my bookshelf by topic, using my own system that made sense to me. Set up my desk by the window overlooking the park. Every single choice was mine. No negotiation, no compromise, no criticism about my taste or decisions. The freedom in small choices turned out to be the most liberating thing. What coffee to buy? When to go to bed? Whether to leave dishes in the sink overnight? Tiny rebellions that added up to autonomy. By end of January, the divorce was finalized. My wife had tried to claim I abandoned the marriage. My attorney had 3 months of documentation. "They'll settle," he said. Trust me. They did. Uncontested divorce. Minimal shared assets split. Done. 3 months after Thanksgiving, I was at the coffee shop. A familiar voice said, "I thought I might find you here." My ex-wife. Standing by my table. "How did you know where I'd be?" "I drove past your building. Saw you walk in." So she'd been watching. "What do you want?" "To talk." "Really talk?" I gestured to the empty chair. "You have 5 minutes." She sat, hands trembling. I've been in therapy. My therapist says I have patterns. Learned behavior from my family. I could have told you that for free. I know I hurt you. I want to make it right. There's no making this right. But if you apologize, I don't want your apology. She looked stunned. Everyone wants an apology. Not from someone who doesn't understand what they're apologizing for. I do understand. I treated you badly. You treated me like entertainment. There's a difference. She tried to explain. Blamed her family, their expectations, their constant pressure to maintain appearances. How they'd always been this way. How she'd learned it from them. I listened for a moment, then cut her off. So you're blaming them for 4 years of your choices? Every single time you made me a joke, you chose to do that. Every time you sided with them when they mocked me, you chose that. Don't blame them for your cruelty. Then the real reason came out. Her voice got smaller. My family is making me miserable now. Without you there, they turned on me. They criticize everything I do. Dad says I made a mistake divorcing you. There it was. So this isn't about apologizing. It's about escaping. That's not fair. It's completely fair. You want me to rescue you from the family you chose over me. She started crying. We could try again. I'm different now. You're not different. You're just experiencing what I experienced. And instead of learning empathy, you want rescue. I pulled out my phone. I still have them, by the way. The recordings. The screenshots. All of it. Her face went pale. What are you going to do with them? Nothing. Unless you make me. I set clear boundaries. Stop driving past my building. Deal with your family on your own. Let me live my life. She tried one last manipulation. What if I expose you? Tell people you recorded without permission? Georgia is a one-party consent state. Perfectly legal. Plus, I have 4 years of public humiliation witnessed by dozens of people. Your move. She deflated. I did love you, she said quietly. In the beginning. Maybe. But love that turns into contempt isn't love. It's control that couldn't maintain its mask. I stood. I have a meeting. You should go. Will I see you again? I hope not. She left. Didn't come back. No more texts, calls, drive-bys. I heard through an acquaintance later that she'd moved to Nashville, escaping her family the same way I had. I felt nothing about it. The best possible outcome. 6 months after Thanksgiving, things had transformed completely. I was training for a half marathon. The basketball team made playoffs. A work project I'd led got approved by the city. Local news did a story about it. A colleague sent me the link. Look at you, famous. I felt pride without needing validation. The apartment was fully furnished. Plants thriving. Artwork on the walls from local artists at Ponce City Market. Bookshelf organized and well-used. I'd learned to cook properly. The space felt lived in and personal. The friend group from basketball became real friends. Monthly poker nights. One guy, Percy, was an accountant with a dry sense of humor. You seem different from when you first joined. Different how? Lighter. Like you're not carrying something heavy anymore. I'm not. That's exactly it. I met someone through the running group. Helen, an architect who worked downtown. We'd been talking at post-run coffee meetups for a few weeks. Easy conversation. Natural chemistry. She was funny and smart, had her own life and interests. Didn't need me to be anything other than myself. One morning after a particularly brutal run, she asked about my past relationship. I kept it simple, didn't want to dump baggage on someone new. Ended badly, but needed to end. She nodded, didn't press for details. I get that. Sometimes ending is the kindest thing you can do for everyone involved. We went on an actual date a week later. Nothing serious yet, just dinner and conversation that flowed naturally. But the potential felt real and healthy. The difference was striking and obvious. She asked about my work and actually listened to the answers. Made observations that showed she was engaged and interested. Treated me like a full, complete person with thoughts worth hearing. Mid-May, a package arrived. Return address, Buckhead. My ex-mother-in-law's handwriting. Inside was a framed photo from our wedding. Me and my ex-wife, smiling. A note attached. Thought you might want this. We're sorry for our part. You deserved better. No phone number. No expectation of response. Just acknowledgement. I looked at the photo for a long time. Young faces, hopeful eyes. Different people. I put it in a drawer. Didn't throw it away. That felt petty. Didn't display it. That felt backward. Just acknowledged it existed. I didn't respond to the note. Some apologies don't require acceptance. Just receipt. I was offered a partnership at my consulting firm. More responsibility, more visibility. The old me would have hesitated, worried about failure. I accepted immediately. Memorial Day weekend, the basketball team planned a camping trip. North Georgia mountains, near Amicalola Falls State Park. Percy asked, "You coming?" "Yeah, I'm in." "Good. You need to see these guys try to pitch tents." Comedy gold. That weekend in the mountains was exactly what I needed. Hiking, terrible campfire cooking, card games. Conversations about everything and nothing. Someone asked, "You ever married?" Didn't work out. "Kids?" "No." "Well, you dodged that bullet." Fresh start. No interrogation. No judgment. Just acknowledgement and moving on. Percy said later, "You seem good, man. Really good." "I am. Took a while, but yeah." Sitting by the campfire that night, looking up at stars through pine branches, I thought about Thanksgiving. That moment standing at the table, announcement made. The fear I'd felt despite appearing calm. The risk of being alone. But alone had become solitary. And solitary had become peaceful. I learned something important out there. Some people will never respect you. Not because you're inadequate, because they need you to be inadequate. Your inadequacy props up their superiority. Breaking free means accepting three things. They won't change, you can't fix them, and you don't need their approval. Weirdly, I felt grateful for that Thanksgiving. Not for the humiliation, for the clarity. She'd said the cruelest thing yet and stripped away the last illusion. Given me permission, through sheer awfulness, to leave. Sometimes the worst betrayal is the greatest gift. Not because it's good, because it's final. Helen texted, "How's camping? Don't get eaten by bears." I smiled and texted back, "No promises. These guys might attract them." Easy banter. Genuine affection building. The difference was this was built on who I actually was. Not who someone needed me to be. The partnership started July 1st. Half marathon in August. Life filling with things I'd chosen based on interests, not obligations. That final evening of the camping trip, the team sat around the fire. Someone told a story about a disastrous first date. Everyone laughed. I realized I was laughing too. Real laughter. Not polite, not uncomfortable. Real. I felt belonging. Not because I'd earned it through suffering. Because I'd found people who valued what I offered. Sunday evening, I drove back to the apartment. Unpacked my camping gear. Made a simple dinner. Sat by the window with a book. Helen suggested dinner next week. I confirmed. I thought about last year's Thanksgiving. The joke at my expense. My announcement. The walkout. It had cost me a marriage, in-laws, certain social circles. It had gained me self-respect, real friends, an authentic life. The math wasn't even close. I'd won by losing. Or rather, won by refusing to lose myself anymore. That night at the table, standing to speak, hadn't felt brave. It had felt necessary. Like holding your breath too long and finally exhaling. The exact 6-month anniversary was May 28th. I woke up and remembered the date. Thought about where I'd been. The Buckhead Mansion. The formal dining room. I'm grateful for everything except my husband. My response. I'm grateful I signed the lease this morning. The turning point of my life. Packed into 15 minutes. Now, that morning, I woke in my Midtown apartment. Morning light streaming in. Coffee brewing. Helen meeting me for a run. Work presentation the next day. Poker night Wednesday. Life built from choices, not obligations. Evening of the 6-month anniversary, Helen came for dinner. I'd learned to cook decent pasta. She noticed I seemed contemplative. "Everything okay?" "Yeah. Just remembering where I was 6 months ago." "Want to talk about it?" "Not really. Just acknowledging it." She squeezed my hand. "Past is past. You're here now." Simple truth. I was here now. Not there, not then. Here. Now. After she left, I stood on my small balcony. Atlanta skyline lit up below. Traffic sounds faint. Air warm. Spring turning to summer. Tomorrow, work, running, real life. Tonight, quiet satisfaction. They probably still told the story of that Thanksgiving. How I embarrassed them. Proved I was inadequate after all. Let them. I knew the truth. I'd become exactly what I needed. Not what they wanted. What I needed. Independent, respected, whole. The lease I signed that morning wasn't just for an apartment. It was a lease on a different life. One where I determined my worth. They'd meant to diminish me. Accidentally freed me instead. Best mistake they ever made. 300 miles from that Buckhead estate, I'd found something they never expected me to discover. I'd found myself. And unlike their twisted family dynamics, This version of me wasn't going anywhere.
Dear listeners, please share your thoughts in the comments, and do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel.